Okay, let's jump straight in. We're doing a deep dive into your stack of sources from June 13, 2025.
Right. You sent over a really interesting collection covering the crypto market for that specific day.
Yeah, it's quite a mix. We've got market movements, some global event impacts, specific company news.
And even stuff about individual networks, right? Like internal discussions.
Exactly. So our mission here is to really pull out the key insights, maybe some surprising facts from all this information you've gathered.
Yeah, try to give you a clearer picture of what was actually driving things in crypto on that particular day.
Get past just the headlines. We're talking big market shifts, maybe some eye-popping numbers, institutional moves.
And project-specific news, too. Let's piece it together.
All right, so let's start with the big picture. Section 1, the market on June 13, 2025. What was the general vibe according to your sources?
Well, one source put it pretty bluntly. Widespread losses for most major digital assets, not a great day.
Yeah, I saw that. The numbers seem to back it up. Bitcoin, for instance. One source cited CoinMarketCap data. It was down about 3.3%.
Right, landing around 104,204 Tomers, based on their 3-point DMKST timestamp.
And Ethereum, it took an even bigger hit, didn't it?
It did. Down over 9%, almost 9.2% actually.
Oof, that's a pretty significant divergence between the top two. Any outliers? Anything swimming upstream?
There was one mention, yeah, AB was apparently up. Showed a gain of over 6%.
Huh. Interesting. Always curious which ones buck the trend on a red day.
Definitely.
So, okay, mostly down. Did your sources point to why? Was there a specific reason cited for the volatility or the crash?
Well, one source made a very direct link. It stated that Israel's military action led to a significant cryptocurrency market crash.
Okay, so that's a direct quote or summary from the source, connecting those dots very explicitly.
Yes, exactly. We're just reporting what the source material you provided says here. It ties geopolitical tensions straight to market volatility.
And presumably to liquidations as well.
And massive liquidations. Another source highlighted that. Over $1 billion in crypto liquidations. Just in a 24-hour period.
$1 billion. Wow. Let that sink in.
Yeah, it's huge. And get this, $943 million of that billion plus. That came from longs.
So people betting the price would go up. They got hammered.
Completely. The source that gave those figures also had this warning, like big waves ahead, a volatility alert.
Okay, so let's recap that for you, the listener. Your sources are drawing this line. Geopolitical event, market crash, huge volatility, over $1 billion in liquidations, mostly hitting the optimists.
It really paints a picture of, well, how interconnected things were presented as being on that day, according to these documents.
Right. Shows how external shocks can ripple through based on what you've shared.
Definitely.
Okay, let's pivot slightly. Moving beyond the broad market crash. Section 2. Specific developments and trends. Because even on rough days, things are still happening, right?
Oh, absolutely. There was still plenty going on under the surface. One key theme was continued institutional interest.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, one source mentioned a Japan-based company. They officially announced they'd started buying Bitcoin, joining other organizations doing that.
Ah, following through on something they mentioned before.
Apparently, yeah. The source said they'd signaled this back in February, and now they were actually doing it, putting it on the balance sheet.
Okay, that's concrete. An actual institutional move reported.
And then there was BlackRock. This was maybe more aspirational, but still significant.
The world's largest asset manager. What about them?
Your sources suggest they set a pretty ambitious vision, aiming for $50 billion in crypto assets under management, AUM, by 2030.
$50 billion by 2030. Wow. That's a huge statement about where they see this asset class going, even if it's a future goal.
Exactly. Suggests a real long-term strategic view if that reporting is accurate to their internal plans.
Okay, so big traditional players making moves or setting targets. What about specific crypto projects? Your sources flagged some top trending crypto 2025.
Yeah, a few highlights there. One source pointed to BNB,
Yeah.
saying it had surged 275%.
Whoa, 275%. For an
Yeah.
asset like DNB, that's massive momentum.
Definitely noteworthy. Polkadot was also mentioned. Just said it saw a rise, suggesting some positive activity there too.
Okay. Polkadot gaining some traction. Anything else stand out?
There was BlockDAG. A source highlighted their X1 miner app, said it was driving mass adoption in like over 150 countries.
Ahead of a go-live event.
That's what it said, yeah. Driving adoption ahead of go live seems the focus was on getting that app out there globally.
Interesting. So even with the market down, you had reports of specific projects like BNB surging, Polkadot rising, and BlockDAG pushing this app for global adoption.
Right, it shows you've got these different layers, doesn't it? The overall market tide can be going out, but some individual boats are still making serious headway.
Which brings us to our next bit, section 3. There was one headline that seemed quite prominent in the materials you sent over, specifically about Cardano.
Ah, yes, that one definitely caught the eye. The headline itself read, Cardano founder defends $100 ADA to stablecoin proposal amid community pushback.
And this was presented as a guest post by Captain Altcoin on CoinMarketCap?
Correct. That's how the source cited it.
Okay, now the tricky part here, based on what you provided, we have the headline, but not the actual article content, right?
Exactly. The source gives us the headline, which is significant in itself, appearing on a major platform.
Mm.
But the text detailing the proposal, the founder's defense, the specifics of the pushback that wasn't included.
So what can we take away just from knowing that headline was circulating? What does it tell you, the listener?
Well, it strongly suggests a pretty major internal discussion was happening within the Cardano ecosystem. We're talking about a proposal involving a substantial amount of money, $100 million worth of ADA, potentially being converted to stablecoins.
And clearly it wasn't universally popular if it needed defending against community pushback.
Precisely. It points to potentially contentious internal governance or financial strategy debates, the kind of high-stakes, network-specific stuff that happens away from the general market noise.
Yeah, it's a good example of those internal dynamics. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Looking back across all these pieces of information you provided for June 13th,
It's quite a tapestry, isn't it?
it really is. We saw a market clearly reacting, quite negatively, to reported external global events. Big price drops, massive liquidations.
But at the same time, you had these signals of long-term institutional commitment.
Yeah.
That Japanese firm actually buying Bitcoin, BlackRock apparently setting that huge $50 billion AUM target for the future.
And then the project-specific stuff, BNB's reported surge, Polkadot's rise, BlockDAG's global app push, individual stories of growth or activity.
Plus, that Cardano headline, reminding us that each network has its own internal politics and big decisions being debated.
And remember, all these threads, these different stories, came directly from the source materials you shared with us for that day.
Seeing them all together like this, the short-term shocks from outside events, the long-term strategic positioning by big finance, the individual project progress, the internal community debates. What does putting those pieces together tell you about the forces shaping crypto on any given day? It's complex.
It really underscores that complexity, yeah. It's not just one thing driving the narrative. It's this mix of macroeconomics, geopolitics, institutional strategy, tech development, community governance, all churning together.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Knowing that the market can be swayed so much by external factors, as your sources suggested, while these huge institutions are simultaneously making these very long-term plays. How does understanding those different layers, those different timescales of influence, maybe change how you look at the daily crypto news or try to make sense of the market's movements yourself?